Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Annie, this is Stanley, and we're here to talk about books. So today's video is the next in my Reviews Revisited series, where I pick a book that I read a long time ago and don't really remember, and then I reread it and give my thoughts as I go along, and then compare those thoughts to what I said in my original review. So this month we're going to be looking at Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. But before I get into what I can remember from last time I read it, let's make some tea. Tea, glorious tea. What do the tea dice have in store today? 4 and 3 is 7. So that is plum oolong. Yay. I do like fruit oolong. Oh, look at all that lovely, lovely fruit. Excellent stuff. Mustn't overfill it because oolong is quite tightly wound, so it does expand. Good old past me has, as ever, already filled the kettle, so we are ready to go. Good old purple teapot as well. It's my oldest and probably favourite teapot. There we go, plum oolong. Yum, yum, yum. So now that we've got our tea, let's get back to it. So I remember exactly when I read this last time because it was on a reading retreat that I went on in November 2017. It was the first reading retreat that I ever went on, and it was a 40th birthday present to myself, which is why it sticks in my head. And why this book in particular sticks in my head is that I took some books with me, obviously, to read over that weekend. And it wasn't enough. I underestimated how much reading I could get done in an amazing weekend where I was weighted on hand and foot and had nothing to do but read books. And I ran out of books, and Cressy, the wonderful lady who runs the reading retreats with her friend Sarah, gave me this book to read on the train home because she thought I would like it. And I don't remember liking it. I don't remember getting on with this last time I read it. And I could be wrong about that. But I also think it's quite interesting. It's more interesting for you probably, and also for me, to pick books that I think I wasn't actually that keen on, but that for some reason I want to revisit. Because otherwise I'm just going, oh, well, yeah, it was great. And oh, yes, my review said it was great. And this one sounds on paper like it would be a great read for me because it's a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And that's all I remember about it, other than this inkling that I have that I didn't really enjoy it that much. I kind of hope I do enjoy it because I need to complete the adaptation square of HRCYED 2.0, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And for that, I need a modern retelling of a classic. And so that's another reason why I picked this book this month, because it was on the list and I thought, oh yes, that will fulfill that square. So I'm kind of hoping that I do like it, not least because it's quite chunky. Okay, so that's as much as I remember. So your guess is as good as mine as to whether I'm going to get on with it and what I thought in my review in 2017. So I'm going to go off and start reading it, and I'm going to come back when I'm about halfway through to let you know what I think by that stage. See you shortly. So I got 20 pages into Eligible, and I just couldn't do it. It was vapid, it was irritating, it was overwritten. All of the characters were absolutely terrible. I had absolutely no interest in spending any more time with them. And they're not terrible in the amusing way of Austen, because the bite of the authorial voice is completely missing. So I have noped out of Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. I've no idea. I didn't think I liked it, but wow, I'm pretty sure I finished it last time. But I guess let's find out. My original review from November 2017 says, Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld wasn't on my recommended list for the reading retreat, but was one of a box of books made available at the retreat, which I decided to try as an antidote to Empire of the Sun, which I did really enjoy, don't get me wrong. Amazing book, but it was quite a rough read. It's a modern-day version of Pride and Prejudice, transplanted to America and populated by mostly rich young things with too much time on their hands to indulge in melodrama. It's definitely fun, and some of the choices made to update the story are well thought out and interesting. I liked the older age range of the Bennet sisters, 23 to 39, to better reflect the societal pressures of the age. I didn't much like the initial presentation of Liz or some of the attitudes she displayed throughout. She didn't come across as independent enough or rational enough to fit my view of the source character. I also wasn't keen on the portrayal of Charlotte or how her storyline was dealt with. Didn't even get to Charlotte in this reread. I loved Mr. Bennet though, okay? And his brand of sarcastic humour translated to the modern setting very well. Overall, I didn't think it worked as a story in its own right. Too many characters and subplots were underdeveloped, so I'm not sure readers unfamiliar with the original would get on very well with it. But then I'm not sure readers unfamiliar with the original are going to be picking this up, but I mean, who knows if they don't realise it's Pride and Prejudice. I also thought some of the changes to the story didn't quite work, particularly around the conclusion of Lydia's storyline. It did a good job of portraying a wide range of different lifestyles, though some of the attitudes expressed were a bit heavy-handed, and the last chapter about Mary felt very tacked on. All that said, though, I breezed through it in a few hours and generally found it entertaining. So there you go, very different. Don't know what to tell you. Couldn't even get past the first 20 pages this time round. So what I'm going to do is pivot and read something else instead. So I picked Eligible because it completes my adaptation square on the HRCYED bingo board, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And I needed a modern retelling. So I've had a look at some suggestions of modern retellings and discovered, much to my surprise, because I certainly didn't know this the first time I read it, so maybe I'm wrong about Eligible and other people will read it because it's a Curtis Sittenfeld book rather than because it's a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. But I have discovered that On Beauty by Zadie Smith is loosely based on Howard's End by E.M. Forster, which I love E.M. Forster. And we read Howard's End for Family Book Club quite a few years ago. And I remember that I have read this, and I remember thinking that it was amazing. And so I'm hoping that this is going to be a better choice for the adaptation square and for Reviews Revisited. I have no idea when I read it the first time round. I think it was quite a long time ago, definitely pre-pandemic. But yeah, I think maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. But yes, haven't had so much luck with Zadie Smith since this one, but I do remember this one being amazing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that this is a good replacement for Eligible. So I'm going to go and read some of this and come back and let you know what I thought. So it's well over a month since I started filming this video, and we've had Christmas and New Year in between, which may have contributed to what happened. But I have bad news about On Beauty by Zadie Smith. I started reading it in late December, and yeah, I was enjoying it to begin with. I remembered it very well as I was reading it. The characters were very familiar to me. There's the main family. Howard is the father, and he's a lecturer in art history at a liberal arts college in I want to say New England. And he's white, and his wife Kiki is black, and they have 3 children: Levi, Zora, and Jerome. And they get mixed up in a feud with another family. The father, Monty, and Howard disagree about art theory and exchange barbs in journal articles and that kind of thing. And right at the start of the book, Jerome is staying with Monty's family in London when he's on an internship, and he falls in love with Monty's daughter, Victoria, and they get very briefly engaged, and then it all goes horribly wrong, and lots of things happen which mean that the tensions between the families are further strained. And then, it follows the family. There are ructions in marriage between Howard and Kiki. The youngest son, Levi, is struggling with his mixed race identity and living in a very white area and a very upper middle class area. And he is kind of trying to find some roots in his black identity. Zora, the daughter, is trying to do well at the college where her father teaches and feels a bit marginalized and looked down upon as being kind of someone who is kind of only there because her dad teaches there. And Jerome is struggling with getting on with going to college elsewhere because he's feeling heartbroken over his failed romance. So there's a lot going on. It's very well observed. The writing is excellent. Lots of really amazing turns of phrase. The interactions between the characters are really masterful. But I don't know. I don't think I was in the right frame of mind. I had a break in between. I didn't read much over Christmas. I didn't read much over New Year, so I was kind of reading it in fits and starts and not really sinking into it. So I think it is an amazing book, but it just started feeling a bit dreary and I was feeling very disconnected from it. I can see to a certain extent the links to Howard's End. I did read a summary of Howard's End to remind me of the story there. And there are the 2 families, and there's also a lower class couple, which is represented by Carl, a young black man who Zora and Levi meet at a concert, and he gets involved in the story as well. But the adaptation is fairly loose. It follows some of the aspects of it, but not to a huge degree. It still counts as an adaptation. I'm still counting it as an adaptation. Oh my God, I need to finish that square on the HRCYED bingo board. But I don't know. I got halfway, which is how far you need to get to count a DNF for HRCYED. And I'm going to be honest about it. I was waiting. Well, I had the halfway point marked because I was going to come back and give my thoughts and then do the second half like I normally do in Reviews Revisited. And I got there and I was like, oh, I can count it now. And I just didn't want to carry on reading it. It's a new year, new TBRs going on. Was trying to read it over the end of the year. It's never a great time for reading for me because there's lots of traveling and social engagements and stuff. I just don't want to finish it, I'm afraid. So very much a failure on the Reviews Revisited because I haven't finished either of the books, although I am counting it for the adaptation square. Yeah, it's definitely not the book. It's definitely me. I'm not going to yeet it. Stanley's not yeeting this book. We're not getting rid of it, Stanley. I'm going to keep it because I do remember enjoying it before, and it's possible that I may well enjoy reading it again another time. But it's just not going to happen this time around. But you can still read the review and see what I thought last time. Apparently, I read it first in March 2022. So it's less than 4 years ago, which is a lot more recently than I thought it was. Much, much more recently than I thought. I thought it was about 10 years ago. Anyway, so always wrong, always wrong. No, not always, but mostly wrong. This is what I said in March 2022. I realise I am very late to the party in discovering Zadie Smith, but wow. On Beauty tells the story of the Belsey family and their various relationships in and around a small Boston university. The writing is exquisite, everything is beautifully observed, and the characters are all so layered and fascinating. I really wasn't expecting it to be funny, though this lessens as the book goes on. I felt it got a bit preachy in the last third, and the ending seemed a bit nebulous. But this is the kind of writing that makes me think I should just give up my own writing in despair, or perhaps work a bit harder to improve it. I'll definitely be reading more by this author. Well, okay. Yes, it is incredibly well written. And sometimes I find that inspiring, and sometimes I find it disheartening, shall we say. I have read more by Zadie Smith. I didn't finish White Teeth, and I can't remember what the other one was that I read. It was about two young girls and ballet lessons, and yeah, there was one, maybe that's not her. No, I don't know. Anyway, there was another one of hers that I read, which I wasn't impressed by because there were so many inconsistencies in the plot and the timelines just didn't make sense. So yeah, very much hit or miss with Zadie Smith for me. And this time around, just not in the right frame of mind. But as I said, I am going to keep it. I may read it again in the future. We shall see. There's so many books in the world, but I do think I want it in my library now that I have reobtained it. Yeah, so that's it for this month's episode of Reviews Revisited. Pretty short one. Sorry that I have not got full book reviews for either of the books that I picked. Next month, I am switching back to an audiobook because I try and alternate audio and physical. And I'm going to be reading The One by John Mars. So hopefully that goes a bit better than this one. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode regardless. And thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more content of me and Stanley talking about books. And we will see you in another video very soon. Bye for now.